Captain's Log Supplemental. We found 2 stowaways in the cargo hold today. 3 triples were found, and we all know what that means. So before I could get the 6 of them jettisoned out of an airlock, my son saw them. All fuzzy dozen of them. And then he named them. Do you know how to get rid of an animal that your toddler's named? You don't, because he remembers. He has all 22 of their names memorized. Sadly, Federation regulation says that on this ship, we can only have 1 pet per living quarters. So I think I'll need about 30 crew members to take one of these fuzzballs. You can have your pick between Stacy, Raul, Pooh, Elmo, Marcia, Sarah, Carlos, Chad, Gorgox, Fanny, Tank, Manny, Pika, Tyler, Sasha, Mexico, Tara, Ta, Rhodey, Beetle, Oberon, Xanadu, Fart, Karen, Mephisto, Jeej, Backgammon, Cardamom, Dude, Dude 2, Mr. Chubby, Buffy, Esther, Dartmouth, Rakesh, Wario.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Captain's Log Supplemental. My name is Stanford. I am joined, as every week, by Rob.
Hello.
And our producer, Mariah.
Hi there.
And as you may have noticed, I did not include Chris because he is taking the week off, and we have a special guest, our being Rob and I, college buddy, Cassidy. Hey, Cassidy.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. Welcome to the podcast. We're pretty easy going here. We just need a cover charge out of you.
Great. I'll just Venmo Mariah the what? You said it was 200?
Yes, perfect.
Can't wait to get my name in lights.
Wait, am I supposed to be getting paid for this then?
No.
Nope,
He just
Mariah.
pays me.
No, no, not at all.
Yeah, that's the fee for gaining fame with all 6 of our listeners. So, Cassidy, usually when we have a guest on, I ask them... Oh, wait, I should start with the other shit first. Hold on. Captain's Log Supplemental, we're a Star Trek rewatch podcast. We watch all of Star Trek. We're doing in canon order, chronologically. We are in the 3rd season of Enterprise now, thank fuck. And if you'd be so kind, give us a review, give us a like, throw us a 5-star review, a 5-star rating, because we are 5-star men and women. That'd be great. Okay, so business is done. So Cassidy, hey, what's going on?
Nothing. I thought I'd open up with saying that I've never watched Enterprise. So I'm just season 3, episode 2 is the first episode I've ever seen of the show.
Oh, perfect. Although, like,
have you watched any other Trek?
That was my question. Yep.
Yeah. Yes. I watched a lot of DS9. So I'm familiar with like the universe, yeah, and I've seen the movies, both old and new. So like I think the first one, First Contact, might have been the first movie I ever saw.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean I'm familiar with the universe as a whole, the world building.
What is if you had to like point to like what your favorite DS9 like storyline was?
I liked all the Ferengi stuff. Like, I loved, what's his name? Armin Shimmerman, is that the actor? I thought he was hilarious. I liked all their just shenanigans. And I loved Odo. He was like the only good cop. So,
Who's the straight man?
Sorry, ACAB includes Odo. That's...
Oh, but he's like a little puddle of goo.
How did you feel about the Little Green Men episode where they like reenact Roswell, but they're Ferengi?
I don't remember that one. I'm sure I liked it.
Oh, it's so good.
Nice try.
It's been a while though. It's been a while. I know. It's been a while. So I did have to like kind of like dodge the question a little bit because I haven't seen DS9 since it literally aired. So
well, at least the only movie you remember is the best one, so that works out.
It's true.
Wrath of Khan.
No, First Contact. Have you seen Wrath of Khan?
Yes, again, I saw Wrath of Khan as a kid, yeah.
Oh, okay. Wrath of Khan's also the best one. Like, those two are best.
Yeah, I mean, First Contact was great. I've seen that a bunch of times.
Yeah. As a guest of the podcast, we always put our guests to work. So we are going to make you do the summary of this episode. So now, like you said, this is the first time you've ever watched Enterprise?
First episode ever.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. We'll get your overall opinion and stuff after the summary because we do a little segment where we rate them.
I do have another question.
Yeah.
Have you listened to this podcast at all?
I am not one of your 6 listeners, no.
Okay.
Excellent.
I'm just curious if he's aware of the tone.
I'm trying to go in as blind as I can here.
Yeah. This is a real good experiment for all of us here. How little can someone know and still be on the podcast?
Yeah. Next week, we're going to have my wife who's never seen any Star Trek. So
After that, we're going to have someone who's never heard of Star Trek.
I'm just going to literally have an honest-to-God dog. Like, it's just a bloodhound.
By definition, it would be our goodest guest.
And we're going to call him Camper.
We should get George on here.
George the Bunny?
George the Bunny.
Oh, I love him.
He'll just chew hay, and we'll get some like rabbit ASMR while we're recording.
George has been on this
George,
podcast.
George tries to be on the podcast all the time.
That's true.
Do you have any cage rattles I have to edit out of these goddamn episodes?
I'm so sorry. We're hoping once we move, we're probably not going to put him in the office, so hopefully that won't happen anymore.
Probably.
I mean, it's not as bad as Chris's mouth noises, so...
Hey, you like it.
Hey, Chris, hey, how are you doing? All right, Cassie, well, whenever you're ready, if you want to kick into the summary, and then we will we'll interject as much as we want to because we're mean that way, and we'll help you out if you need help. I do have my notes. I think, Rob, you still keep notes on all the episodes, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we got your back, Cassidy. It's all you. Good luck.
All right. So, like, everything opens up with, like, a dog sleeping on a bed, which I thought was, like, an interesting thing because I don't really think that animals play a huge part in the Star Trek universe. Like, they appear and aliens are there, but there's, like, a dog and he's already, like, going absolutely wild. So I'm like, all right, this is
his
good.
name?
Oh, it just occurred to me you don't even know this thing's name.
I don't know his name.
Because they never mentioned
Porthos.
it. Porthos, yes.
Oh, I think that tracks because in a couple of seconds, so Porthos is going wild. He's getting crazy, and he gets up to Captain Archer, right? And he's like begging on him, and something's obviously going to go wrong, right? And then Scott Bakula is his name, not Archer's is
we use them interchangeably on this podcast because you can't not call him Scott Bakula.
We also refer to him
Scott Bakula.
We refer to him affectionately as Captain Doer because he's always getting stuff done.
He's a doer. He doesn't think. He does.
That's, oh my god, I have that. That's in my notes almost. He doesn't listen to anybody. Anyway, so the dog gets him up and is starting to warn him, and then we get like the shot of the office, and he's got like the old sailboats, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is the kind of guy he is, right? We're setting it up for who he is. He's got the classy decor, and then all of a sudden, like, stuff starts to happen, like books are falling off the shelf. There's like some weird other plants in like the doctor's office that go nuts. They just start screaming. So clearly something is wrong. Yeah,
those are the doctor has a menagerie of like medicinally adjacent animals, so those were his animal cages.
Which also come up later, which is in a really funny scene with the leeches. But so something's happening. Something is going on here. There's like, is it magnets? Because everything starts like starting to like get stuck to the ceiling. And then, like, there's this weird, like, CGI bubbling happening through the hallways. Very much a product of its time. And then the coffee cup, like, splashes in the air but doesn't actually fall. It just, like, gets stuck in the midair. And then you're like, oh, these are anomalies. It's the name of the episode. That's what it's gotta be it. So we're gonna find out what these anomalies are, I think. And so, all of a sudden the ship starts to, like, tank. Everything starts to go really bad. The polarity reverses. They actually threw in the reverse polarity. I loved that line. Classic sci-fi trope. The engines, their polarity's reversing. I don't know what that means, but I believe them. So things are going south real fast. And then we cut to the, like, theme song, like the opening theme, which I decided to watch. It was normally I skip these, but I'm like, no, I'm going to watch it. And it's actually kind of neat. I actually didn't hate it. It was like the slow advance of technology, right? Like, it starts like, here's ships in the water, here's like NASA, and then there's like a massive jump between like the moon landing and like Enterprise. It's like, oh, don't get me wrong. It's like, here's here's 50-year jumps in technology. Okay, here's, a several hundred.
Does the updated intro still have the Phoenix on it?
I didn't Phoenix as the mythological creature, or is that a?
It's actually the warp ship from First Contact.
Yeah.
Oh, if it was there, I missed it.
So
they
season
also
3
shortened it a little.
Yeah, so season 3 is a like an update of the intro where it is shorter. I'm wondering if they cut the Phoenix out, which would explain some of that jump. Because in the original intro, they showed like the moon landing and then the ISS and then like a Mars rover and then the Phoenix and then like this other ship and then Enterprise.
Yeah, I remember the moon landing, the ISS, like it slowly builds the ISS, and then there's the Mars rover, and then I don't remember if they jumped to another ship or not. We'll have to go back and look.
It is funny because like this is the only Star Trek that has an intro that's got the music with the singing and stuff, and like it used to be quite the tone shift to go from like dramatic to like this soft prog rock, but the updated version has this like jaunty steel guitar behind it that makes it really an folksy, even more abrupt tone shift.
It reminded me of, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Outlander, where they have like, it'll be like this dramatic, serious, like historical war, and then they just play like the happy little folksy theme song to open the show, and then it's like back to someone being like beheaded. And it's like, or like some dramatic sex scene. So it's like, oh, okay, like just don't. Who cares about the tone? Let's just have the theme song.
Mariah, did you ever watch Outlander, or did you only read it?
I read one book.
That's the Scottish time traveling one, right?
That's indeed it is.
As I understand,
it's a bodice ripper.
Quite the svelte little lady gets split in twain by large Scottish cabers.
that is a way to put it. Sometimes literally, sometimes people do get split literally. It's graphic in many ways. It's not just sexy, but yeah. So the theme song, I actually liked the intro to Enterprise here. I thought it was like, okay, like someone put this together. It was really, I thought that was nicely done. As opposed to what I think I remember was like DS9. It was just like, here's the ship, and here's like a long shot of the ship. Here's like a wide shot of the ship of the station.
Yeah. The subtitle I give the DS9 intro is camera angles. Because like it's a station. Like it doesn't go anywhere, so there's just different camera angles of the same fucking station.
Right. Which again was its own way, like its own deviation from Star Trek as a whole. It's like, okay, we're not scooching around the universe. We're just going to sit right here. Right. Yeah. There's no trek. It's just the star.
Just the stars.
So we get back to the ship, and like they immediately like foreshadow, hey, the weapon systems are down. This is probably a big deal. We don't know that yet. And they are coming across like another abandoned ship. Like there's no life signs or anything like that. And they're like, oh, it's 8 million kilometers away, which I was like, oh, that's an insane distance. But it's not. It's actually only like it's about a 20th of the space between like Earth and the sun. I had to look that one up. I was like, oh, that's reasonable. I guess you could see that. And it's like a long way there. So they're going to just like slowly scoot their way over because they can only go like 1/4 speed.
Well, yeah, but like 1/4 impulse, according to like the canon, is a quarter of the speed of light.
Yeah.
So they are not going slow. Yeah, they are going super fucking fast.
Yep.
Yeah. So, again, something I was unaware of, but then they got there in like 1 second. It was just a cut. And I was like, oh, they're clearly trucking. So they find this ship. They get there at 1/4 light speed, which is really fast. And there's like nobody. They can't find anything on there. They're like, okay, everybody's probably dead. And so this is where I thought the show was like my first like laughing at the time period is that they have like the sexy blonde in a crop top, like just gonna put a spacesuit on over her crop top. It's like, wow, okay, do you not wear anything else? Like, is this Federation regulation here?
It's so fun listening to Cassidy like describe what is by comparison to the rest of this show very tame horniness.
We have a seasonal bingo game, Cassidy, and the free space is horny.
This show is the horniest Star Trek.
And I think this episode like had some moments But I was like, okay, they just cut to this girl's abs, and it's like, okay, all right, thank you. And she's holding a rifle, like, I get it, muscle mommy and the guns.
I am not being hyperbolic when I say you're lucky that there isn't another person rubbing glittery gel upon those abs on camera. That happened in 3 separate instances in this show.
Oh my.
Including the pilot episode.
Just let's get some oil work going.
Yep.
You know, and I'm sure there's like some great canon reason for it, like, oh, this protects you from.
Yeah, it's decon gel, man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we make our way to this empty ship. And I think there was some good camera work here. They had because they were talking about like how no one has ever experienced like no gravity before, which is like a problem they solved years ago. So everyone just deals with gravity, that no one has to float around in space. And they're like, hey guys, it's going to float around in space a little bit.
I don't know why this show insists on showing Space Marines as just being completely incompetent. Like, they're Space Marines. Like, I'm sure they know how to deal with zero gravity.
Right, like someone has to go outside the ship at some point in time and fix it. Like, you know, the hull of the ship isn't completely perfect all the time. Someone's got to go out there with a little, like, space screwdriver and zap it or whatever. Yeah. So someone has done a moonwalk. But I did like the camera work. They kind of like twirl the camera around so you get that gravity feel. And they immediately stop doing that. They're like, no more creativity. We're just dark rooms. And they open up the door and, oh my God, there's a dead body. So things start to get sweaty. You know, I didn't know what alien species that guy was, but he was like scaly.
We don't know either.
Yeah, he's just an alien that's dead. And so they start searching around, and 17 dead people. So they got 17 bodies on the ship. So they're like, okay, so something clearly happened. You know, most of them died because life support died, you know, so they didn't have anything else. They couldn't breathe, they couldn't eat, whatever it is. But some of them got shot with phaser weapons. So it's like, okay, all right, so there's a mystery afoot. So we've got 2 mysteries now. We've got these anomalies, which, you know, maybe will get explained, and we've got these dead bodies.
Well, so the anomalies we know are a product of the where they are. That was explored more in the last episode.
Okay.
Yeah,
I kind of picked up on that.
It's kind of ironic that you're coming in for season 3, which is the only like season that has the long seasonal arc. So like there is actually shit that they explain in other episodes this season that you're missing.
It's also postulated later in this episode once they get to like the main locale of where they're going.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like there's like I got a little bit more explanation. But like this is definitely not a mystery that they completely solve. Like this is not a bottle episode. They don't solve it now.
Right.
There's more. So we get back to the ship. Like, okay, 17 dead bodies. Here's some data that we've downloaded from their ship.
Man, that was the most abrupt cut to the ship, too. It was like, okay, start downloading the data, black screen, we're back on Enterprise. And not like at the same time with other characters. Like, those same characters are now back on Enterprise. It's been some time.
Yeah, there's just no, like, oh, we don't need to spend any more time here. An economic decision for sure. And so this is where, like, the first, like, you guys were talking about him as the doer captain. The Vulcan lady,
T'Pol,
was that her name? T'Pol, yeah. She's like, hey, we should probably stay and try to make more repairs. Like, we should fix our ship before we go anywhere. And the captain's like, no, we've got to go. And then there's like, I thought there was another funny scene, like right after they're talking about like, they're trying to like fix all the ships and restart the engines. And they're like, the Cochrane equation isn't constant. They've got to create a stable warp field, which may have come up in other Star Trek media before, but I was just like, they just like threw that out there, like, yeah, cool. Like, I get that. Variables, gradients, sure, I'm digging it. Just throw more terms at me. I don't care.
Cassidy, Zephram Cochrane is the guy from First Contact.
Oh my God, he is.
That's what they were talking about.
That's wow. Warp. I did. He does invent warp. Thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome. That's the kind of insight that only a person who hosts a weekly Star Trek podcast can provide.
You're absolutely right. But then then there's like I wish Isaac Newton was here. I thought that was a funny little.
That was a good line. Trip says Trip's got some zingers. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked Trip, and I liked Reed. Is that the other guy? Or is Trip Reed the guy's name?
You are the first person I've ever heard say that.
Reed is the shitty British security officer.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. I'm thinking of the guy who tries to do the engines. That's Trip then, right?
That's Trip. He's the engineer, the southern guy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like him. I liked him. So, and then we get back to, like, Scott's office, and the coffee cup is still just, like, in the air, and he, like, dramatically slams it down. Like, what are you mad about? Like, the coffee was just sitting there, buddy. Like, you didn't go anywhere.
You're getting Scott Bakula's full range from, like, ignorant doer to just petulant asshole. Like, that's the whole range of Scott Bakula.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, terrible captain so far. Does not listen to anybody, but screw it. He's making moves. And then, like, it doesn't stop. The action just keeps going. Like, suddenly there's pirates aboard. You get these, like, they just, like, zap into the, they transport her into the ship, and they start stealing stuff. And they kill somebody, like, they shoot somebody, and they, like, knock out a dude with, like, it just hit him in the spine, and he gets knocked out. Not in the back of the head. There's no, like, Vulcan death grip. There's just, like, bop in the back of your spine, you're down.
Yeah.
Which, again, great. Like, we don't need to, that guy is unimportant.
That's where human off switches are. It's like right at the base of the neck on the back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like cats.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's the deactivation switch, though, like if you pinch the cat's neck, yeah.
Yeah, that's our scruff.
The music during all of this was fucking exciting. Like, I was pumped during this because of the music. The action was actually better than this show usually is. Like, it wasn't too bad, but the music made it seem fucking amazing.
I totally agree. I was, like, not expecting this level of action because they're just, like, in there just shooting people. They start stealing, like, all sorts of things. Like, you learn it's food and fuel and warheads and stuff. And, like,
cinnamon candies, yeah, like the warheads.
Yeah, so that it's so they they're like, how many people are on here? How many pirates are there? And suddenly, like, Scott's like, I've got to go fight 4-on-1.
Oh my god!
And he like turns their broken engine on. This just starts zapping the room, and it's like, this is a terrible idea. This is you're gonna break your ship.
I like how that's Trip. I like how he was on top of the engine, like, good thing someone left this hitting pipe up here for me. Find some random stick to hit people with.
Yeah, and you don't know this, but we have learned that the superior tactical position in Star Trek is to always be above your enemy.
And I literally have this death from above is a note I have written down.
Perfect.
I was like, oh, Scott, get his ass. So I guess these pirates are also trying to download their database. Don't know why, but they're trying to do it. Because, I guess that's a thing. And then they hit him with a stun grenade, which is a cool thing to just have. Like, it's just a big, like, it's like a flash bomb that apparently stuns you, which is cool.
Sure.
And then...
Did y'all see those badass tactical ladder slides they all did?
Oh my god. That was crazy. Yes. Like, is that actually a thing, like, in the real military?
Fucking, of course not. Ladders aren't laid out like that. There are naval ladder slides, and they're kind of similar, although usually they're backwards, but they can do them forwards too. But they're never like this tactical maneuvers, like...
Yeah, like, it was just like, I mean, again, though, like, in the moment, I was like, oh, this is get him, go, like, do your thing. Like, but now looking back, it's like, yeah, why would you do that? Like, what's wrong with you?
Never rush at your enemy balls first. Like, that's just not a good strategy.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they did. So they do get away, though. Most of the pirates get out. They take some supplies, sneak away. They zap out of there. And they leave one of their guys behind.
The one that Trip hit with the pipe, if I recall.
Right, that's right. They got him in the brig now. Yeah, and it was like, at first I was like, this is a weird interlude. Like, why did they have pirates suddenly appear? Like, this is perfectly timed. We do learn why eventually, but it was just kind of like, oh, like too many things are happening at first. I'm almost overwhelmed with the amount of information I'm getting from this show. But then they go to the medical bay and, rip to Crewman Fuller.
Oh, no, Crewman Fuller. He was my favorite random name they used sometimes.
Yeah. So he bites it. And then we learn that, I do like the, was it Dr.
Phlox.
Phlox, yeah.
Phlox. Phlox.
I recognize the actor from his voice.
Sure.
I was like, oh yeah, this guy was in one episode of The West Wing as a guy who
that's what you pulled him from. Yeah, he was.
The Peterson projection map. He's that guy. I was like, oh wow, that's the guy from The West Wing.
Oh yeah, and that's like a famous scene too.
Yeah, right. I mean, if you don't know that scene, like, have you even watched
it? Comes on TikTok every once in a
while. Yeah, like how big is Greenland? It's like not that big. But then we learn. So far we have all these mysteries, and we learn okay, these are the Osarians, and nobody knows what that is. I don't even know if that's important. Is that like a major people in Star Trek?
I've never heard of them before.
They're just them.
Yeah.
They're not even from here.
I think was the whole purpose, was like they're not actually Delphic Expanse natives. They are from outside the Expanse, just like the humans are.
Yep.
Yeah, they're just pirates. And suddenly, again, this is like the thing I love, that like oh, the antimatter storage pods are gone. It's like, oh, okay, cool. We have another term that they just throw at us. Now, it took me a second. I was like, oh, I think that's their gas. Like that's their fuel.
Effectively, yeah, that's what makes the reaction. So I like how Trip's like, they took all of our stored antimatter. We only have what's left in the reactor. And Archer's like, oh my God, how long is that? He's like, it's only going to last us a month. And I'm like, a month? Fuck. I thought you were going to say like a day or two at the most. Right. Like a month?
I was like, are they going to have to eat the dog? No, they have months of supplies. Like, they're fine.
The dog. They're going to convert Porthos into an anti-Porthos and throw him into the reactor.
He's an emergency food supply.
Yeah. And so immediately...
Is that an Excel Saga joke?
Yes.
Immediately T'Pol is like, we should go get more supplies. Like, we've got plenty of time. Let's go find somewhere, like, and gas up, and just who cares about the pirates? They stole food. Like, they didn't do anything. And, like, Scott's like, no, I'm gonna go interrogate this guy. I'm gonna find these people.
No, fuck you. Yeah.
Like, so this whole race of people that are based on being extremely logical and correct. No. I don't need you. Please. Your Vulcan intelligence is of no use here. And so like he goes to the prison. He's like, okay, what up, blood? I'm gonna do some bad cop on you, and it's not scary at all. He's like,
yes, Scott Bakula is the least intimidating when he's trying to be intimidating.
Dude, this prisoner too, he had like very big Bane vibes. Like, I was bored in the dark.
Although, like, the part where he stroked his scar to show off like what could happen to you was so overly acted that I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, all you have to do is be calm and collected, and you would already be a superior actor to Bakula, who you're across from. But he like strokes his scar like a video game villain because they're trying to like really show what's happening because the graphics aren't that good.
Yeah, and he's just like, we had it hard too. Like when we came into the Expanse, like we were idealistic, and then it got hard for 5 minutes. And we had to start killing people.
Yeah. We turned into pirates instantaneously. Like there was no transitionary period.
Are you sure you just didn't want to be pirates? Like, is that what you just came out here to do?
It's like if an airplane goes down, like, and the first thing someone's like, well, I'm going to eat the person next to me. And they're like, I don't know, they're just in a field. Like, there's a town right there, but the guy's like, sorry, Susie, I gotta start eating you.
And he drops the Trellium D line, like, oh, your ships aren't coated with Trellium D. And we're like, yeah, does that, like, everyone's like, nothing, that means nothing to me. Like, what are you doing here? Like,
that was the crux of the last episode.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So, like, I have no idea what that means, but sure, I'll roll with it. And then like, they talk about the anomalies, and it's like, oh, that's why this dude looks all messed up.
It's basically space asbestos. So,
yep.
I'm serious. Like they mine it, and all of the miners have mesothelioma, and but it's useful as an insulation against the space anomalies.
I think like
it is 100% asbestos.
Asbestos. But anyway, the prisoner not convinced at all to be helpful in any way. It's like, you guys, like, this is like, he's like, you could shoot me or send me back to my people, and if I help you, they'll shoot me. So, but yeah, So we get back on, we get some repairs to the ship. We've got the sensors are up. Like the pirates used modified like ion trails to get away so that they can't track him. Apparently there was like a line about Nobel Prizes, like, okay, those still exist. So, how many Nobel Prizes have we given out since then? Several hundred. So I guess I'm glad that's still going. I'm glad dynamite has proven to be that important in the future.
Considering how many like world-ending wars that survived, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And then we get to the first the first openly innuendos in the show where they're like, oh, has the engineer can't sleep, and they're like, oh, has T'Pol been stimulating your neural nodes?
Oh,
it's
God.
and I was like, oh man, everybody in this show's a pervert.
So
that was also last week's episode.
Yep, that was last episode where we first saw that, and T'Pol had her entire shirt off for that sequence, and it was fucking awful.
Yep, handcuff bra.
Well, you can't massage neural nodes with your shirt on. It just gets in the way.
She would know. She's a physical therapist.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's coming from the doctor. I believe it to be true. But after we get past that little, moment of perversion, weapon systems are back online. And then they're having a conversation, and the British guy and Reader like, yeah, every time we meet aliens, they want to kill us. Why is that? Like, aliens are good, but some of them are really bad, and we keep meeting the bad ones. And so they go on about the mission. This is where I think I got a little lost. Not totally, but there's something they're doing. There's a story arc here that I'm not privy to.
Okay, so the TLDR is basically and this is going to make sense because you don't understand what Xindi means. The TLDR is that for some reason, this alien race called the Xindi sent a laser to Earth and shot up a bunch of Florida and killed 30 million people. And so the Enterprise is being sent into the Delphic Expanse to find the Xindi and figure out why they did that and to try to stop them from doing it in the future.
Yeah, it was Space 9/11.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so they're on the mission to figure all this out then.
Right, which is why Scott Bakula's acting got dialed all the way to 2 when he heard the word Xindi and was dealing with that guy.
Yeah, we'll get to that at the end of the episode, but that was I was like, oh, okay, this is important then. And so they start to track, they start to adjust their sensors so they can track the pirates. And they're like, oh yeah, they're 20,000 kilometers away, which is okay, just throw random numbers out there at this point in time. It doesn't matter.
100%.
And then it's but the trail ends. And they're like, okay, let's just go to where the trail ends and see what's there. Because cloaking technology has never existed before, and they have no idea what that is. So invisible things don't exist in this world. So they go through the cloaking portal, and you get everything's breaking again.
T'Pol's we should probably not go through this field that's breaking our entire ship. And Archer's fuck you, fuck the ship, fuck the crew, we're going through.
Yeah, my note. This ship is literally falling apart. Scott, yeah, that's cool. Keep going. And it's and I like how was it Travis? He's just there's nothing there, and it's don't look at your computer screen. Could you just figure it out, man? Something is obviously obscured. They went somewhere. They either went through a wormhole,
yeah,
or come on, something happened here. Just pull up the screen and look at actual space. And then they go through the cloaking barrier, and bam, the Death Star is there.
My note is that's no moon.
Yeah, and it's 19 kilometers wide. Great.
Which is
love that.
That's big, but it's not big,
Right,
it's a small moon.
Because at one point, Archer's take us into orbit. I'm into orbit of a 19-kilometer wide object?
Yeah, just go next to it, you mean?
That's not, I don't know that would work.
And then they're oh yeah, it's made out of polyduranium. Oh, great, I love it. New metals, just throw things at me.
I like how duranium already a new metal, but we had to mix it up a bit, so we put poly in front of it.
Right, yeah, because it's got a carbon chain in there somewhere. And they're like, okay, let's orbit this thing. Let's go aboard. And it's like, okay, just go aboard a brand new thing again. And they're like, just blast the door open, and that worked. Just shut the door.
Just shoot your way into this massive technological marvel. Like they've never seen technology this advanced, so we're just gonna start blowing holes in it.
Yeah, let's just nuke the pyramids open.
Let's see what's in there. Go try to push a button.
No.
Because obviously there's a way to open this thing because the pirates were going in and out.
Yeah, but it's never shown, and we never get that. They just cut their way open with lasers. So they get in there, and it's empty. But it has tons of energy. There's a bunch of reactors in there, which they mention at some point in time. They're all 12 kilometers long. So it's okay, this thing's 19 kilometers, and they got 12-kilometer reactors. Are they very finely stacked on each other? How does that work?
If you looked, they're spindles that cover the entire interior diameter of the place.
Yeah, it's weird.
So I guess they're thin, spindly fusion reactors that are 12 kilometers long.
Can I just say that while they're in there, there's these lightning effects going on in the background. If your reactor is causing arcs of energy through the air,
that's how you know it's working.
You should probably turn it off, though.
No, that's how you know it's working.
That's how they stop the pirates. They turn their engine on, electricity booped out, and they win the battle. And
it's a 19-kilometer wide fly zapper.
Yeah, that's useful. For your space mosquitoes.
Space mosquitoes.
So then they immediately get to the pirates' headquarters. And
which Scott's is their attic, basically.
Yeah, it's this little weird, they call it a module, but it's like a tiny house on top of this reactor. And they're Scott's hey, let's split up and check it all out. And it's are you a good leader? Are you good at this? Are you just a man of action?
I don't know.
Cassidy's learning fast here.
Yeah, he's really doing it good. He was elected to lead. I don't know what direction all of these actors were given in these coming sequences of them checking out all these attic rooms, but all of the actors are poking around, looking through crates, or looking at this, looking at that. Reads look, some stem bolts, although those are clearly spent reactor casings. We know that from a previous episode. So what the fuck, Reed? But anyways, then we get to the part where it's Scott Bakula and the Marine. And Scott Bakula is clambering over stuff, but he's doing such a shit job of it, it looks like it's a slapstick routine. He's failing to clamber. And
at one point, he just starts pushing stuff over.
I know. It looked like the Marine was trying not to laugh at him the whole time as he's just fumble fucking through this pile of shit. It's you know that scene in, I think it's the second Men in Black, where he's stuck in where Will Smith is stuck in the room with the dead tentacle alien, and there's just this extended camera shot of him struggling to get out of all of the tubes. That's what this was like.
Also Ace Ventura trying to get out of the Rhino machine. Just failing miserably to be birthed.
But not intentionally funny though. That's the thing.
That's true. The Ace Ventura scene was very funny. But yeah, so we find a bunch of MREs. I didn't realize that they had those in space. I thought they had replicators, but they have those foil sealed boxes of food. Which great. I don't understand why they have replicators, because they use it in this episode. It's not like they're not invented yet, because they get black tea from one. So I'm okay. We have our supplies back.
They have protein resequencers. They're not as good as replicators. They can only make a few simple things.
Okay. Well, thank you. But
we have a chef on board.
Yeah, they have a chef.
Oh.
Which
Riker,
they did say. They said
eggs.
chef said that a third of the food supplies are gone. Chef.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But yeah, so they get the manifest too, and that's a big deal. They get this manifest, which is going to let them learn about Xindi stuff later. And then, things are going okay. The music here, it's definitely ooh, what's the next secret we're going to find? And then, yeah, they're they find a bunch of stuff, and somebody says, look at this, and they don't explain at all what they just see. They're just like, oh, we found this. Look at this. And then they just cut away. Like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you for that explanation. I
It's
appreciate
weird
that.
cuts in this episode.
Yeah. So, and then they go back to the neural treatment. They're talking about the neural treatment again. And there's like a funny little like, well, if you don't want to do the neural treatment, we could have a mud leech. You just don't sleep on your chest so it doesn't get angry and bite you.
Yeah.
Because that's something that we want to do. Just let the hot Vulcan put you to sleep, man. Like, I don't understand here. Like, how is this an actual argument that you're having? Like, I just think about like actual medication. Like, you could take this pill or have a nice looking woman like give you back scratches until you fall asleep.
Understand, Cassidy, that this is inside the show where in the pilot episode, Trip and T'Pol rub each other with glitter gel for like a 2 or 3 minute sequence.
So what's the problem?
There's an episode, Cassidy, like ripped straight out of a like stereotypical anime where Archer falls face first into T'Pol's boobs.
Oh yeah. Oh, you love that. You can't do that no more because it woke. They don't let you do it.
Fucking hell.
But they get their gas back. They get their antimatter stuff back. So great. That all resolved before Act 3. So the pirates stole their stuff and they got their stuff back from the pirates. Great. And then, all right. So we finally get back to the ship, and this manifest. They match up some symbols. And it turns out the Xindi probe. Da 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 da. So that's a big deal. We don't know what that means yet, but we'll get there. And so Scott's like, okay, this time I really have to go be mean to the prisoner. Like, I can't.
Oh my God.
I can't be nice to him anymore. And the guy's like, what manifest are you talking about? Like, just playing stupid with him. And Scott's like, I'm gonna get real tough with you. I'm gonna do it. And obviously
this guy
Asarian
sees
is like,
through this shit real easy.
immediately. He's like, you will not throw out your morality. And Scott's like, yes, I will. Absolutely. I don't care.
Which is kind of like
does.
not how morality works. Like, this kind of...
Like, it's like a philosophical argument between two people who don't know what philosophy is. Like, yeah, sure, man, whatever you say. And he takes him to the airlock, which they didn't quite say right away that it's an airlock. I think you just have to assume that. And he's like, it's going to reduce the pressure by 5 atmospheres a minute, or 0.5 per minute. I'm like, I trust that math is correct. I don't actually know if that is going to really be a thing. But he's like, 40 seconds, you'll be dead. And he's like, okay, cool. All right, thank you for giving me the 40 seconds, because I needed that. Because I don't have my physics notebook from high school next to me.
Fun fact, scientifically been proven that torture doesn't work. Like,
Correct.
ever. Like, it's just never worked, ever.
Except in Enterprise, because the guy chokes, and he's like, okay, I'll tell you everything.
It works on
I'll give you the
TV
codes.
real goddamn well, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, right.
It always works in Hollywood.
But he didn't really get any like serious answers from the guy. He just like heard him and got the access codes. But we have weapon systems back up. The engines are good. Ship's pretty much okay now. And so I was like, all right, let's go mess up some pirates. He got a little bit of a plan going, which I thought was okay. Like a little bit of like forethought, which was nice. Like, okay, you're showing some growth here, Scott. And then they're like, okay, this ship's going to come back, so let's just wait for him. Okay, all right. Pretty mundane plan. But then it's a space fight. It's another cool action sequence that lasts for like 10 seconds.
Not for nothing, the alien ship looks fucking amazing. It's such a badass looking little ship.
It is really cool.
And then shit fired lasers. I was like, oh, such cool lasers.
Yeah, like I was totally down with the ship. I thouut it was great.
My next note is these guys are rad as hell. I'm on their side now.
Yeah, give me the Asarians. I just want to go back for a second. They had pulled the Asarian out of the brig, and he had like a gun to his neck the whole time, and everyone was like, Scott, what are you doing? And it was just like, you obviously know what he's doing. He's got a gun to the prisoner's neck. I think you can figure. I think you could at least extrapolate a little bit of info.
He walked by that extra and goes, Ensign, like it's just a normal fucking day. Like, Ensign, like, what are you doing?
Right. But yeah, anyway, back to the space fight. The pirates try to escape. They try to follow him. It doesn't really work. And they're like, well, the last plan works, so let's just do it again. Let's just wait for them to come back again. And that works.
Well, they shut their space door a couple times.
That's true. They were going to shoot the space door. I forgot about that. And yeah, he's like Scott's like, stand down, and the ship is like, no, I gotta go. See you later. We're getting out of here. But then the woman on the deck, she's like, we've got to be within 50 meters to steal their database. Oshi, yes. We've got to be within 50 meters, which again, the numbers, like, they're so weird. Like, you can see an ion trail that goes out like literal miles, but to steal their computer data, you got to be like in the same room as them. Like, you got to get their Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah, dude. Like, their ship ion sensors are like futuristic subspace, but like their Wi-Fi signal's just like 802.3G or whatever. Yeah,
it's the 2.4 gigahertz band.
2.4 gigahertz. It's wireless protocol like G or whatever. Like,
yeah, judging by the speed, we were working with like a 28.8K modem.
And of course, like, she's like, I can't find it, and I'm like, Jesus, Hoshi, just use the search bar at the top of the window. Like, just search for Zindi. How hard could this be?
Yeah, and like, they're like mad at Travis. They're like, get closer. And he's like, I literally cannot see them. We're in a weird portal. Like, how? Like, what do you want me to do?
Everything is invisible right now. Like,
we're invisible. I don't even know where we are.
It's a cloaking field.
But then we have a little short space fight again when they come back. They immediately come out swinging, which I like. They're like, they're gonna be there. Let's just start shooting.
As hell. These guys they get some.
They're pirates. They're really good pirates. So they're like, okay, all right, let's shoot their engines. And they're like, no, if we shoot their engines, their computer system will be broken.
Yeah, Cassidy, because you know how like computers are tied to the engines?
Right, exactly. Like,
they're like inextricable systems. Yeah.
Right, because if you shoot my router, then my hard drive blows up.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm playing a computer game, I got to go get gas from my car to make sure I can keep playing it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just yeah. Are we mining cryptocurrency? That feels like what we're doing right now. Like, so okay. So that makes sense. They finally get like 80%, and Scott's like, cool, 80% is good enough. I don't give a shit. Like, let's just go. Despite the fact that he obviously wants all of it, he's like, B+, I'm fine with. And they shoot the engines, and the ship runs into the sphere, and it's like a cool sequence.
He's like 90% is good enough. Let's go. And he shoots the engine, and they disable the ship. It's like, well, then go get the rest of it. Like, who?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like, you have the firepower to like keep them in line. Just send a guy with like a hard drive, like a flash drive over. Like, thanks, that's all we want. Like, we're not here to kill you. And then like they're like, okay, cool, we've got most of what we came for and most of our supplies. Let's just release the prisoner and leave. And the guy's like, that's why you're the weak captain. Ha 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 ha. And like, that's where he just leaves him. Like, that's like the lesson I guess we learned.
Yeah.
And then
show no mercy.
Yeah, right. Like, and then we go to like the command center, and he's like, Archer's like, or Scott's like, I guess the same person. Scott's like, show me Zindi. And it's like, you know, like the flashing lights on his face that get reflected on him, so you know that he's deep in thought.
And like, I know we're in a new season, so they're flexing their budget. I'm guessing they bought a new Casio because there's like this weird techno 80s track playing while he's doing this. It's really fucking jarring because it does not fit any kind of Star Trek at all. It sounds like the soundtrack to Lady Hawk is playing while he's like watching the Zindi rainbow display show across his face. Like, it's fucking bizarre.
But then the episode just ends here. Like, half the things weren't answered. Just,
it's suspense, Cassidy.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
This is their first attempt, really, at like a season-long arc.
Yeah, like
so,
in the franchise, believe it or not.
Yeah, I mean, like, I get like a lot of Star Trek is like, here's our, you know, mystery or episode of the week. Here's our alien species. Here's our blue skin lady that, you know, Kirk wants to bang. And then you move on to the next one. There's nothing left. But like, yeah, this one felt like we didn't really move the overall plot forward. We just had this episode that kind of had a little bit, and we didn't even get all those things like even touched upon. So it's like, it feels like a puzzle piece of a puzzle I no longer own.
Well,
okay, great.
In their defense, I think we do get a couple pieces of the overall plot that are important. For one, we do learn how the Trillium D works so that they can start working on being immune to this expanse that they've known has had issues. And like the other thing too is like, this is a 20 some odd episode season. So like the little bits and pieces you're going to get are going to be small because they've got so many episodes to play with.
That's true. We haven't got to the 8 episode seasons of stuff yet.
Right. So
this is far from modern television.
So at the end of the summaries, Cassidy, we always rate these episodes on a scale of 1 to 5, where 0 is threshold, which is the worst episode of Star Trek that's ever been written. The scale is, at least in terms of like how we usually rate, semi like independent of like, oh, this is a pretty good episode for Enterprise. No. Like 1 to 5 on a scale of like, do you think this is good, like to watch? Where 3 is like, this is kind of standard Star Trek schlock. And then 4, it's pretty good. 5, like, this is fantastic. 2 is, this kind of sucked. And 1 is like, this isn't worth watching.
Can I use a decimal?
Well, your score doesn't really count, so you can do whatever you'd like because you're the guest.
That's fair. I'm going to give it a 2.5. It could have been a lot better, but it had some solid action. It had a couple of good quips. Yeah, I mean, I've like, this is like definitely wouldn't be in the top of the Star Trek things that I've seen.
Sure.
Yeah, I gave this one a 3. It was just sort of standard Star Trek.
I also gave this one a 3. I thought that it's one of those episodes where, and this is probably going to be fairly telling for the whole season, because it was the same with the last episode. It's like, wow, y'all almost did good. Like you almost could have pulled a 4 off if you had cleaned up some of the kind of clumsy shit you were dealing with. Bakula's acting always pulls everything kind of down, but like the basic skeleton of the story they put together in this episode, I think is sound. I think they did a good job with like, here's the overall problem we're dealing with, for the season, but then like, here's this smaller problem that crops up, gets, kind of explored, solved, and then we move on with a little bit of a progress towards the overall story arc, and we can move on to next week. I think that structure is fine, and it could have been a 4 with a little bit better writing, a little tighter on the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a lot of things well. Like I said, like some of the camera work was cool. The music was good.
The music was good, although it was one of those things where it's like, it got so dramatic at points that it felt very like weird because the show doesn't do that often.
Yeah, and like they seem to have like a standard vibe to their music. So when it's not that vibe, it stands out a lot. It
really does. It's a lot. It's very jarring to those of us who are watching this every week,
Yeah.
Interesting that this is that this of all things stands out like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, again, like I agree. This could have been a tighter, better episode. But some of the cuts were weird. But yeah, I can see this. This had potential, but just did never. I think they were just like, this is good enough. Let's go with it.
And that is fairly typical for this show, where they've got potential, but they kind of flub it, or like it's a really good episode until the last few sequences, and then they fuck it up. That happened. It was all times.
A dream.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Chris, do you have a rating you could throw at us?
Yeah. So I think I generally agree with you guys. It was an enjoyable episode. As the show goes, it was pretty solid. It kept me interested in watching it instead of just wanting to immediately shut it off. So I ended up at a 3 for this one as well.
All right, cool. All right. So we're going to take our first break. And then I believe, Rob, we are coming back to you with a deep dive, correct?
Yep, I'm deep dive.
Awesome. Then we'll be back in a minute.
All right, welcome back. So, in celebration of our mutual PennStatedness, I did a little bit of research into a
Oh my God, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what? I said at the top, like Cassidy is one of our college buddies. I guess we didn't point out that like we all went to Penn State.
Yeah, we all went to Penn State. And there is a very well-regarded Penn State alum in Star Trek like casting. Do either of you know who it is?
Of course I do.
You do? Who is it?
It's Jonathan Frakes.
I was just about to say,
yeah.
for some reason, the name Jonathan Frakes is popping in my head.
Oh, I had
Yep,
no idea.
Jonathan Frakes.
You guys missed it earlier. I made a Riker joke.
I'm sorry, Cassidy, just a moment. Christopher, you are not from Penn State. You shut your fucking mouth right now.
He went to Penn
I
State.
went to Penn State, you fuckwad, for like the 1,000th time. You're a fucking idiot.
I did not remember that you went to Penn State. I thought you went to the one college around here.
No, he went to Abington
Yeah,
campus.
no, I went to Abington campus.
Oh, so you
All right,
didn't really
I'll
go to Penn State.
allow it.
No.
But Mariah will keep her mouth shut.
So anyway, I was gonna say, yeah, I made a Riker joke. We were talking about the food stuff. I was like, oh yeah, the chef, like Riker when he made those eggs. And I think it got under the radar.
Oh my god.
But,
You know what's
yeah.
extra funny about that is that in the very last episode of this show, Riker plays the chef.
oh, that's funny.
I can't remember if he
That's
makes the
super
worst eggs of all time like he does in Next Generation, though.
Well, I don't have anything about him making eggs in here, but turns out he did go to Penn State. He is a native Pennsylvanian, born on August 19th, 1952 in Bellefonte. So just like
shit. Yep.
10 to 15 minutes away from State College.
Yep. Belafonte.
Yeah.
You need to edit in to this segment like clips of him from that Truther or Fiction show. Like absolute truth.
Oh, fact or fiction?
Oh my
Was
god,
it-
I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
Untold Mysteries? Some shit.
I think it was
Yeah.
beyond belief, fact or fiction.
That's it. Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Was the typewriter really haunted by the ghost of her grandfather?
Not this time.
Nope.
Nope, it was Ronan.
Oh no.
Oh,
So I will say
different
this.
Ronan.
Yeah, I will say this. We're on a Star Trek podcast, which I know nothing about. But if you've been like, "Oh, name this famous Penn State alum," that's a podcast I would roll on.
Nice.
Do you know which Marvel superhero is a Penn State alum?
Marvel superhero Penn State alum. I have no idea, no.
Bruce Banner, aka the Incredible Hulk. He teaches at Penn State.
Oh.
Yeah,
Does
Like,
he really?
sorry, you mean like the character?
yeah, like the character. Like he gets a PhD from Penn State and teaches there. Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were talking about like Mark
Mark
Ruffalo.
Ruffalo?
And I'm like, I don't
No,
think
Mark
Mark
Ruffalo.
Ruffalo was a professor at Penn State.
He was not. No, Bruce Banner.
It would be cool if he
Anyway.
was, though.
Deep dive.
Did you say he died? What did
No,
you
no,
say?
deep dive.
I'm
Oh, deep
transitioning
dive,
back
yeah.
to the deep dive.
Yeah. So yeah, born in Bellefonte, PA, just about 10 to 15 minutes away from State College. Actually grew up in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, though.
That's
a little
that's
further
over
east
by
of
here. Yeah.
Yep. Closer to our home. Graduated from Liberty High School in Bethlehem in 1970. Was a member of the track and band. He played trombone,
Yes.
which
That is why Riker plays the trombone, is because
right.
Jonathan Frakes knows how.
Yeah, it was very funny. I thought that was an interesting tie-in. While he was in Bethlehem, he had a lot of childhood visits to his grandmother's house in Altoona, PA, also not far from Penn State.
On the other side of Penn State from Bellefonte.
Yeah, pretty much. And then went on to, unsurprisingly, attend Penn State University after graduating as a psych major.
Huh.
Like, it's really funny because, like, while we were there, everybody talked about how everybody was a psych major. I felt like a third of my friends were psych majors at one
It's
point.
funny. I was a psych minor, so like I
That is funny.
I did.
Oh,
I did not know that
were
about you.
reminding that.
Oh yeah. I took like 8 or 9 psych classes.
Yeah, this didn't sound familiar to me. Apparently, he worked as an usher at the Festival of America Theater at Penn State. I don't know if that was still there when we went. Didn't ring any bells. It was not a main
Nope.
campus.
That may have been what Schwab was called.
Oh, I wonder. We'll have to look that up. So yeah, worked as an usher. Got spotted by the director there, who suggested he joined the play's choir that was currently ongoing at the time, because he was tall.
He
Jonathan
is very
Frakes
tall.
is 6'4".
Yeah.
And apparently that makes him qualified to sing in a choir. Wound up swapping majors over to theater after he realized that this was something he was interested in pursuing seriously as a career, and joined what was at the time called the Thespians. Now it is the Penn State Thespian Society, which is the longest running student organization on campus. Turns out it was founded back in 1897.
Oh, wow.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking
been around for a while.
that mule was still alive almost. Oh no, wait.
Old Coley.
No, it wasn't
Old
quite.
Coley.
Yeah, he wasn't quite still alive then.
No.
There might have still been some Nittany Lions back then.
Yeah. Yeah, at that point, probably. Graduated with a Bachelor of the Arts in Theater Arts in 1973, so 3 years, and he graduated. That's impressive. And then enrolled at Harvard immediately after to pursue his master's. While he was at Harvard, he joined the university's acting company, the Loeb Drama Center, and graduated with a Master of the Arts in 1976. Right after he got his master's, he joined the Impossible Ragtime Theater Group in New York City after hunting around for a place to call home. And he had his first off-Broadway appearance in an expressionist play, which is a new word that I've never heard before, called The Hairy Ape.
What?
And then,
that play.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
Hey, Chris. Hey, tag in for me. I go to the bathroom.
Okay.
He then went on for his first Broadway part in the 1976 musical Shenandoah. He was a chorus member there. His first television role was on a daytime soap called The Doctors, which ran from 1963 to 1982, and wound up leaving New York after his character in The Doctors was killed off. He moved to L.A. to pursue a film and television acting job instead of Broadway. So in the first couple of years there, he appeared as a guest on a number of notable TV series from the 70s and 80s. The Waltons, Dukes of Hazzard, Matlock. It's super weird hearing these because, I remember my parents watching them when I was a kid.
Right. Just old people shows.
Yeah. Especially Matlock. My dad loved Matlock. And then went on to eventually be cast as William T. Riker in 1987. So he played Will Riker in TNG, and then would later reprise the role for episodes of DS9, Voyager. I didn't realize there was a Voyager episode with him. Enterprise, as Stanford just spoiled a little earlier, Picard, and the animated series Lower Decks. He was also in First Contact, Insurrection, and Nemesis, all the TNG movies. He's also directed episodes. He's got his directorial debut on TNG. I think he did 8 episodes, as I was reading. But he's also directed episodes of Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Discovery, Strange New Worlds, and Picard.
I was going to say, he's directed tons of Trek.
Yeah, he's also directed 2 of the movies, both First Contact and Insurrection. He's also spent a lot of time outside of the Star Trek universe, especially lately. Works on shows like The Librarian, Roswell, Leverage, Burn Notice, and I didn't know this. He's directed an episode of The Orville.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. He's also taught classes on film direction in Maine prior to him and his wife moving back to California. Speaking of which, he married fellow actress Jeannie Francis in 1988. The 2 of them met on the set for soap opera Bare Essence. And they have 2 kids, Jameson Ivor Frakes and Elizabeth Francis Frakes. He's also won a couple awards, 3 Saturn Awards. One was the Life Career Award, which he won in 2013, and he's been given 2 of them this year. One for Best Supporting Actor in a Television Series for his role as Will Riker in Picard, and then the entire cast of TNG was recognized this year for the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Honestly, he was one of the better parts of Picard.
That's what I hear. I have not watched it yet. Also notably, I don't know if you saw LeVar Burton when he spoke at Penn State, Cassidy.
I did not. I remember him coming.
Yeah, Stanford and I both went. It was very funny because like one of the first questions he asked the crowd is like, okay, how many of you are here because of reading Rainbow? And then how many of you are here because of Star Trek? And like at that point, like everyone's hands are up. That's very funny. But
I would have been there for reading Rainbow for sure.
Yeah.
Didn't he start singing Reading Rainbow?
Yes.
And then everyone finished?
Yep. Yeah, it was really great. I would have been there for both. I was big on Reading Rainbow when I was a kid, and my uncle introduced me to Next Generation in like the mid 90s. But yeah, so the reason I brought it up, Frakes also was a guest reader on Reading Rainbow, and just out of curiosity, I was like, I wonder how many other TNG like alum are on there. Janice Crosby, Tasha Yar, Michael Dorn, who played Worf, Whoopi Goldberg, Gates McFadden, Bev Crusher, Marina Sirtis, who plays Troy, Brent Spiner, Data, and then Patrick Stewart, Picard, have all been guest readers on Reading Rainbow. That is crazy to me.
I mean, it makes sense, you know. Get all
I
your
like that they
friends
support
to
each other.
spot. Kind of like what we've done here.
Oh my God, is Stanford LeVar Burton?
Maybe.
Yes, Stanford is LeVar Burton.
Does that make me? I don't know.
I think that yeah, it makes you Will Wheaton.
Okay.
So there you have it. A little bit of history on Jonathan Frakes, some fun Reading Rainbow tie-ins. We're going to take another short break here, and we'll be back for some potpourri with Stanford.
Welcome back. Thanks for tagging out for me there, Chris. I apologize for that. However, today for Potpourri, we are going to do a nice little trivia challenge for our guest here. Chris, if you wouldn't mind keeping score, I'd be much appreciative.
I don't know. I don't know if I had a college education to be able to do that.
All right. So I'm sorry. I felt bad about that on the whole way to the bathroom.
And then he forgot about it until.
And then I completely. So, what school did you go to? Okay, so these are going to be some general Star Trek trivia. They're not just about Enterprise. Hopefully that'll keep things a little even, because I know, Rob, you've got kind of an unfair advantage.
Kind of. The guy runs a Star Trek podcast versus me.
Listen,
Right.
I don't think you understand how bad my track record is with trivia on this show.
I mean, he's real bad.
Just to be as fair as possible, I'm going to ask you individual questions, okay? I'm not going to be like, first one to answer, okay? So,
Okay.
all right, here we go. Cassidy, you get
Yes.
the first question. How does a starship travel faster than light?
Say it again.
How does a starship travel faster than light?
It reverses the polarity of it, of light, and well, the warp engine. I don't know.
The warp engine. That's right. Yeah, good.
Oh,
good,
cool.
good.
Great.
Yeah, warp engine. Okay. Rob, in accordance with the Starfleet entrance exam, what is the ratio of the proper mixture of matter to antimatter to produce an optimal reaction when traveling at a warp factor of 6.68?
I knew this is how this was going to play out the moment you said we were going to answer at different times. 0.3 to 1.
No, it's always 1 to 1. Always 1 to 1.
I hate you.
It's all right. It's all right. We'll get it fresh in. Okay, so this next one is going to be for Cassidy. Cassidy, what is the name of the starship featured in Star Trek Enterprise?
It's the Enterprise, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Good job. See, I told you do some stuff. Rob, the Akita class is, of course, the second coolest Federation ship ever commissioned in terms of aesthetics. What was the name and designation of the first Akita class starship?
USS Franklin.
No, I'm sorry. It's the USS Akita.
I feel like we did talk about this at one point of the podcast, didn't we?
All right, we're gonna. The designation was NCC 62497. Okay, so we're just gonna shake off some of those, and we're gonna get a little harder here. Okay, so Cassidy,
Yeah.
what is a Klingon?
I mean, it's an alien species.
Exactly, perfectly correct. It's an alien. Exactly. That's what we were looking for.
Okay, great. All right, I'm feeling warmed up now.
All right, this next one's going to go to Rob. Rob, the Klingon insignia is obviously the coolest insignia in the franchise. What does it represent?
A batleth. No, isn't it like a fish or something? I don't know. I have no idea.
No. Of course, as we all know, the three blades were those of the enemies of Kalis, who, upon defeat of their leader Morgoth, all laid down their knives in the ground in fealty to Kalis, who then drew a circle around them. The dakag to represent strength, duty, and sacrifice, while the circle represents honor.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Have you been watching a lot of Game Changer lately?
I may have watched all of it. Anyways,
oh my God.
Cassidy, this next question's for you. What is the primary weapon of Starfleet vessels?
Phasers.
That is correct. We also would have accepted photon torpedoes.
That was my next guess.
Rob, exactly how many phaser arrays does a Galaxy-class starship have?
18.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's 11. 11.
There's that
Cassidy.
one that points backwards.
Yes, that's right. Cassidy, what protects a starship from enemy weapons?
Shields?
That's right. Yes, it's the shields. Good job. Yep. Man, see, you know a lot about Star Trek. All right, Rob, here you go. Whenever you get one right. In Star Trek Generations, the Enterprise D is destroyed because the Duras sisters have the correct shield modulation frequency. What was that frequency?
Oh, jeez. 1,133 hertz.
Oh, close. No, it was 257.4. Yeah. Cassidy, name any Starfleet captain.
Picard.
Good, great. Picard's a great choice. Rob, we all know that Miles O'Brien is the most important man in Starfleet. What ship was he stationed on before the Enterprise D?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, my God. The Akira. I don't know.
Actually, close. It was the USS Rutledge. Yeah.
Was that under Jellicoe?
Fuck if I know, man. Cassidy, just name a species.
I like how you took me with become lazier.
Oh geez, we'll go with tribbles.
Sure, great, awesome. That's another point for you. Robin, this is the last question, so we can maybe you can get kind of a rally here. How many lights are there?
One.
No, I'm sorry. According to
4 lights.
Well, no, according to Gulmadrid, there are 5 actually. 5 lights.
Well, he's a liar.
Oh man! Wow, that seemed like it was really close. Chris, what's our score at the end there?
So I have let me do some mathing. It was 7-0.
Oh wow.
Dude, like the moment you said that we weren't going to be answering at the same time, I was like, he's up to something.
Poor Rob.
I don't know. That felt like a fair test of our skills.
Oh man, this was a joke that I've been sitting on because I was gonna do it with you and Chris, but then then Cassidy came on. He doesn't know as much about Star Trek. I'm like, oh, it's the perfect time.
I do know who Miles O'Brien is.
I had to I had to dig for some fucking obscure ass shit there.
I was wondering. I was going to ask you, where did you get these questions? Because they're like, damn.
He was a Cole Meany, right? That was the actor.
Yes.
And Miles O'Brien. He was married to Keiko.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, well, he's one of the main DS9 characters.
Right. That's everything I know about DS9 right there. I think it's all out in the open now. I know
One of my trivia questions was what's Keiko's last name?
O'Brien.
That was also wrong at the time. I suppose her maiden. What? I don't even remember what it was.
It was a Japanese surname.
Well, yeah.
Was it Ishikara? Ishigawa? Something like that. Now I'm going to look up and see how racist I was there by accident.
Nope, Ishikawa. That's right.
Ha! Fuck you! God damn! Oh man, good times. Okay, so it was a crazy phenomenon. It seems like our guests always seem to win at the trivia. It's nuts.
Wow, I'm glad I could carry on that tradition.
Thank you again, Cassidy, for guesting on our podcast. Maybe if we, not if, but when we get to a future show, maybe even DS9, we'll bring you back because you definitely know how to throw us a good party here.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad that I can be propelled into stardom, fame, and riches.
Yes, we'll definitely let you know when that happens.
That's definitely something that's going to happen.
As we say at the top and bottom, please leave us a review, give us a rating, 5 stars. We are 5-star people. Send me hate mail. I read it always. And I think that's all I got. Unless anyone else has anything. All right. Well, good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Captain's Log Supplemental. You can follow us on Twitter at PodCLS or send us hate mail at podcls3@gmail.com.